Today we are going to be taking a look at the PlayStation 5. This is one of the newest, biggest tech products on the market. It has been the source of some controversy and a lot of love and hate. And I said we were going to do a full review of it before when I covered some of the faults with it, and I did mean that. I am here today with Alex from Podcast Now, whose channel is located in the description and pinned comment down below. I really hope you'll check him out. He's a fantastic creator. He covers a lot of stuff in terms of gaming, entertainment, all these things, and it's just a fantastic friend of mine. I appreciate having you here for the review.
Thank you so much. This is right up my alley. I'm a resident Sony fanboy, for anybody that doesn't know, and that is sarcasm, just in case I get called on later. But I really do appreciate being here, and I'm very, very excited to talk about this next-gen console.
Yeah, Alex is like me, it's you're a fanboy when you say something bad about Xbox or maybe a little negative, but you're a hater when you go on and you make a video about how badly Sony handled the pre-orders and how there wouldn't be any available at launch, and then everybody called you a hater then said, oh no, it actually will be available at launch, and the people who pre-ordered it just wasted their time. Oh, wait a minute, I made that video, didn't I? And it wasn't available at launch. That's odd. I just want to point that out. The thing with this console, though, too, Alex, is I think it is fantastic overall. There's some goods and some bads. I think the biggest positive to this thing so far to me is the DualSense. The DualSense. I always try to call it the DualShock. But essentially what would have been the DualShock 5, the DualSense controller. I think this thing is bigger and it's more comfortable. It's not too heavy. It has insane vibration features. So maybe you can enjoy that in your own way. I don't know what someone's going to do with it. But if you play something like Astro's Playroom, the way the controller interacts with your hands or even the game, it's incredible. There's a lot of really cool technology here that I think will also be incorporated into things like PlayStation VR going forward.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this DualSense, I was pumping this thing. When they first announced it, I said this thing is absolutely incredible. And I was right. And anybody else that said it was right. People have said this thing is like PSVR, where you can't truly explain how good it is until you get to hold it. And that's what people said with VR when it first came out is, yeah, it's amazing, but we can't really explain it to you. You kind of just have to put the thing on and experience it. And I agree. I mean, Astro's Playroom is its own masterpiece on its own. The fact that that's a free download is incredible. And this DualSense controller, I mean, it is next level. If anybody likes the Xbox controller, I think it does all the best things in terms of even size and even where certain buttons are located, how the triggers feel, very much similar. But honestly, everything it does in addition to that, it is, I'd say by a mile, the best controller ever made. And people have been saying it's the most next-gen thing about next-gen. I couldn't agree more. It's more next-gen than the PS5 or the Series X, the actual consoles are.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, there is so much great to talk about with this thing, too. I will say with the design of the PlayStation 5, I like the design. I like the way it looks aesthetically. I think it's really cool looking. I will say there's some weird things with it, though, as well, like the size. Now, this was complained about a lot with the base Xbox One, and this puts that thing to shame. That was basically a VCR in terms of its size. This thing is massive. The box it comes in is huge. The console itself takes up almost an entire shelf on my entertainment center. It is crazy big. I will also say for this console, the technical specs are awesome. I think there's certain things they're pushing with this that I wouldn't push. For example, on the box, they talk about 8K. I don't think anyone really cares about 8K yet at all. If you do I think they ran a poll with consumers, and a lot of consumers still just have a 1080p TV. So you're appealing to a very niche audience. Even most of us on PC, I have like a GTX 2070 Super. It's not the newest thing anymore, graphics card, but I run 1440p monitors in order to get the most frame rate out of my games. I think that's what a lot of people are wanting, is like more like 4K 60 FPS type stuff. I don't really think that they should push into 8K yet, and luckily the launch games don't really. But that's something that does make me a little nervous, because last generation we couldn't even hit 1080p 60 FPS, and now we're not even hitting 4K 30 FPS barely, with Miles on fidelity mode locked at 4K 30 FPS. I think that they need to start focusing on optimizing those things before they push further out into resolution. And that's something that has me slightly concerned about this console, although it doesn't make it a bad console. It's just the future prospects of it, slapping that on the box, I'm kind of like, do we want to go there yet?
Right. Not to be a Sony fanboy, but what I would say is generally in the gaming industry, I think that is I wouldn't say it's a Sony specific problem. I think what we've gotten with, this is off topic, so I'll make it really fast.
No,
with games in general over last gen, it became, let's push it as far as we can go visually, where they forgot story, characters, interesting gameplay hooks, right? I think we've entered that stage where it's like, oh, because it looks shiny or it looks good, that makes it better. When in reality, we've lost the fact that no, good games, they don't have, like Hades, right? I actually haven't played Hades, but I've heard amazing things about it. It doesn't look like The Last of Us, but it's an amazing game, right? I think that's, so I agree with you. I noticed that as well, too. I was bringing my box downstairs in the basement yesterday, and I looked at it, it said 8K, and it was like, yeah, we kind of have to worry about different things than just its looks. Because like you said, we can't even, by the end of the PS5, we probably won't hit more than half the things they had set out to do. So it's really not all that important. But it's just, I would argue it's the same thing for Xbox.
Yeah, definitely. I think so too. And speaking of that, an Xbox review would be interesting to do at some point with you as well.
Oh, yeah.
But I do think, that that's a bit of a concern to me. I will say in terms of the way that it is built as well, though, a good positive you mentioned is this is much easier to clean now, which is good because this is a very complex, expensive computer, basically.
Totally. Yeah, this has a dust port built into it around the you don't have to break it down all that much. You have to break it down pretty hard to get to like the metal cooling that they have inside of it, but there is like a vacuum port where you can put a kind of like a hose or a nozzle of your vacuum in and suck out the dust, which is, I'm a clean freak, kind of. Actually, not a lot of people know that about me, but I will dust this thing probably every 5 hours of the day. I don't want it to look this is my shining star, so I don't want it to look dirty. But yeah, I mean, and really quickly to the visual, because you talked about the visuals, I love it. I hate it laying down. I've always said that. I know it looks like a weird modem just in general, and people have always bagged on it for that. I love the looks. I'm literally, as I'm talking, I'm staring at it. It looks phenomenal. I stand it up. I do not lay it down. I do think it actually looks kind of weird laying down, but my God, like you said, it's a monster. Biggest, most heavy console of all time.
I feel attacked because I don't have room to stand it up. Mine has to sit down. So,
oh man, yeah, I'm sorry.
I feel personally attacked by that comment, but you are right. I think I prefer it standing up as well. I can deal with it sitting down though. But I also will say too that there are some problems that we should go over too in just a minute. But in terms of positives as well, before we get to that, I think that the visual performance is insane. It's really great. I think that this was like Xbox One X's wet dream when Xbox was setting out to be like 4K, insane quality, all this stuff. PS5 comes in, it's like, yeah, we can do that.
Right.
And obviously it's the full next gen, and that's good. And Xbox Series X is promising to do a lot of those same things for sure. But just talking about this console and not ragging on Xbox, I think that that's crazy that this is such a visual eye candy console. Even in performance mode, games like Demon's Souls look incredible.
Absolutely.
Running at 1440-ish, 60 FPS. I think it starts to upscale to 4K, but it's not really 4K. It looks fantastic. And I think that is going to be an amazing feature as well, even though, like you said, yes, that doesn't make good games. I will say, too, about the negatives with the console itself, this thing has launched with a lot of issues. I'm not going to Kotaku it and get into the state of the world because the fact is the amount of these out there doesn't make the ones that exist a bad system. The current state of the world does not make the PS5 somehow hardware worse. It just doesn't. That's why we're not really going to go there in this video. I've done plenty of others on my complaints with how Sony has handled the pre-orders and stuff like that. But I think that some of the things are kind of scary. So, for example, players are already having issues with not the fan, but the GPU, and saying that they're experiencing artifacting on their screen from their console overheating. So that's a problem. I think some of that is from where people have placed the console too close to the wall. However, I don't think that accounts for all of the failure rate of this thing so far, for people having the system overheat and just shut down during games. We even have people like Jeff Gerstmann talking about some of these issues. So it's not just a minority of Sony haters who are talking about this. This is real people who own the console that are having failure rates for some reason with the product. The rest mode feature is causing issues right now where gamers will play the game and they'll put it in rest and then they'll come back and it'll have to rebuild the entire database of the console, which is a big yikes, an issue that needs to be fixed. There's just some stuff like that's worrying. Even external hard drives right now are causing problems. So it's like, while I think this is an amazing system, I think that it could have used a month, to work those bugs out. Those should have been things they caught in testing, I personally think.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's the game's amazing. The look, I mean, I love the UI. The UI I think is amazing. I think it's a little confusing, but I think it's amazing. But these issues, yeah, not even just the pre-order stuff. I mean, clearly they aren't at the top of their game. You could blame the stuff around the world. You can do it. I would say you could do it a fair amount, but it does ultimately come down to Sony and Microsoft as well. But then, yeah, these issues, I'm actually afraid to put mine on rest mode. I saw issues where, like, if you played Spider-Man Remastered and then you put on rest mode and then you came back and had to, like you said, like rebuild it, I was terrified. So there are things in it that I am worried about. And like you said, I mean, this is a system. I mean, my PS4 lasted. This is my day one. So I've been playing it for 7 years. Not every day, but if you averaged it out, maybe daily as an average, I played my PS4 for 7 years. Can the PS5 go 5 or 6? I don't think the lifespan is going to go 7. If it goes 5 or 6, can it last that long with what you said, with all these issues? And they can optimize stuff. They talked about how even like patches to the system can actually optimize the fan inside it, which I think is next level, like futuristic technology thing. But can they do that with anything else, right? So I'm hopeful, because I don't want to get a new PS5 in a couple of years. PS5 Pro, I mean, maybe I'd be forced to get that because of the channel, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, those issues definitely they're bad. They're happening with Xbox. I would say they're happening with Sony more, not to be super against them. I would just seen them more. I think maybe more people actually have the PS5 too, if we're being honest. But yeah, this is an issue with next. It happens with all consoles. It happened with PS4. Not all these issues, but some of them. But it is worrisome when you have something like this, because I want this thing to last for 5-6 years, and it's not even lasting for some people for more than a day.
Yeah, and Alex, I gotta say, all I got out of that is that you're a Sony hater. But earlier I got out that you're a Sony fanboy, so I'm
sure people are confused at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, the launch games for this system are great. Running through them, Godfall, Demon Souls, Miles Morales, those are all great games. However, it does seem a little disappointing that so far, a lot of these games are just kind of being pushed back also onto PS4. And I get that for accessibility, that's good. I understand that. I'm not trying to say everybody should have a ton of money and buy the newest console right away, but it's a little concerning that they want to keep the PS4 around for years. I wonder how that's going to work with the PS5, and the only reason I say that is because I want these games to be developed with the best technology they can be, so that they can be the best they can be. And the example I always use for PS4 players, because some of them do get upset when I say that, is Spider-Man PS4. Would you have wanted that to also be on PS3? Like, I'm honestly curious, because if it was, I'm sure that the PS3's hardware would have held the game back a bit. And that doesn't mean you can't play the PS3. Mine's still hooked up. I still play Infamous on the PS3 because I think PS Now sucks. I think it's garbage. I don't want to stream these games. I play them on my PS3 with discs. Love the thing. But would you have wanted Spider-Man PS4 back on the PS3 as well? Would you have wanted it held back by having to create another version of it and having to work to the lowest common denominator of hardware in order to make the game run there and then push it on next gen? That's always what I ask, and that attitude concerns me about the near future of the PS5 is what I will say.
Right. No, totally. I love the launch. I think they crushed, not to make it a console war, but Microsoft, it's got not even a comparison. I think this is the best launch for systems in our, the last several, PS4, Xbox One, even PS3. I think this one is a lot. Demon Souls, I think alone, and although it is the only one, but you have Miles, Godfall, Astro's Playroom is already installed, Sackboy, right? Bug Snacks, The Pathless. I think I actually listed all of them. Those are like the 6 or 7. But phenomenal. That's a phenomenal group. Ratchet & Clank is coming. Horizon is coming. God of War is coming. Kenna Bridge of Spirits is coming. They nailed it. They really nailed, I think, almost everything except for these pretty big issues with the PlayStation lasting more than a day.
Might all be software issues that can be patched. We don't know yet. Right. So that's a concerning thing that maybe we can revisit in the future that will affect the future of this console. But overall, right now, I think it's great. I personally think, not to tell you what to do with your money, don't give a scalper money for this. I think that if you wait 6 months, this will be a much better console than it is right now, which is a good thing for you if you missed out on it. And I don't think it's worth you or your parents blowing $1,500 to get it from someone who had bots running while they watch Netflix in order to just buy it, who will insult you for not respecting the hustle or being a socialist if you're not okay with that. I just don't think we should give those people money for this thing. But overall, I think it's a great system. So Alex, thank you very much for being here. I really appreciate having you. Be sure to check out Alex's channel. It is in the description down below and linked down below as well in the pinned comment. I appreciate having you here so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Videos like this review are made possible by a lot of amazing people over on Patreon, which I truly appreciate, and I wanted to thank some of them today, such as Steve, Jonah, Erwin, Caleb, and those are our top patrons, which I really do appreciate, but there are so many more under them that I appreciate as well. Thank you all very much for helping the channel out. If you're interested in the Patreon and checking out what it's about, the link is in the description down below, where you will get access to a lot of behind the scenes videos, posts, and also some older videos that maybe were super cringe and I had removed a long time ago, that you can see yourself. Anyway, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Have a fantastic day. And as always, stay shway.